We are all drawn to colors in our everyday life. This applies to book covers as well. In 2024, I tracked the number of books that I read based on cover color. Then I decided to see what the average rating was per color. The results were pretty surprising. I decided to look into this a little more. I wanted to know which cover color I usually rate the highest. I want to compare this to how I feel about these colors in real life. The plan is to read 4 books, all from different genres, and take the average rating to see which cover color I resonate with the most. Here are the ground rules. Rule number 1, no DNFs. I have to continue reading until 4 total books are read. Rule number 2, 4 different genres. Not the same for every video, but no 2 books will be from the same genre. Rule number 3, no sequels unless it is an interconnected standalone series. Which color will come out on top? You'll just have to wait and see. In 2024, I read 16 books with black covers, and the average rating of those books was a 3.72. Out of the 16 books with black covers, 8 of them were 4 stars and up, and that is what you see pictured on the screen. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin, and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me, because today we will be wrapping up the cover color challenge for 2025. This video didn't make it out in 2025, but that's okay. That's okay. We will be wrapping up this mini series that I did on my channel. This time we'll be reading some black books to see where they stand. And I'm coming to you as I'm finishing this video because I forgot to intro it and I forgot to outro it. So here we are. And you know, this has been a surprise for me, but I'm not gonna hold you. We got a lot of books to read, so let's just go ahead and hop into this video. Okay, y'all, so let us talk about our first book of this video, and that is going to be Witchful Thinking by Celestine Martin. And this is about Lucinda, who loves living in Freya Grove, the mystic seaside town where charms, hexes, and magical beings of all kinds are the norm. She spends her days teaching high school history and her nights reading tea leaves and attending to her conjure garden. It's a good life, but she can't stop wishing for more until one night that wish turns into a spell and suddenly Lucy can't say no. Most alarmingly, she can't say no to her high school crush, Alexander Dwyer, who needs her help unjinxing his new house, which just happens to be right across the street from hers. Alex has spent 10 years traveling the world on adventures Lucy has never dreamed of, and he's planning to leave again as soon as his house is safe to sell. But until Lucy can unhex herself, she and Alex are stuck together. And with so much magic in the air, maybe the next spell Lucy casts will be the one that convinces him to stay. Now, I do feel like this is a super cozy book that would be perfect for really any time of the year, but maybe more so fallish, even though the setting of the book is over summertime. I feel like it is probably what I'm trying to say is that this will be a good transition book from summer to fall. I think it fits into that perfectly. I love the inclusion of all different types of characters and learning about the lore of the town and these creatures and things. I thought that was really cool and really fun. Our love interest, Alex, is actually a merman, and you know, I never read about a merman before, but Alex has me convinced. He definitely has me convinced, and I need to know more. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I feel like once things start happening and Lucy is unable to say no to things, I wish we had gotten a better explanation of why, or like we didn't know if there was something like catching her tongue to where she couldn't say the word no, or like just and I don't know. We never got an explanation of why she couldn't physically say the word no. It just kind of seemed like, oh, she can't say no, blah, blah. But like it really didn't get explained, and I wish it had, because that would have just added a little more to the story for me. It kind of felt like a hole, or just like something missing, because we really didn't get an explanation of that part of it. I really think that this small town was really cute, and the feel of it was just something that I really enjoyed. This did feel kind of repetitive to me, in the way that Alex and Lucy both kept repeating their reservations about each other and their relationship, and it felt like it was being repeated every other sentence. Like, okay, we get y'all both have reservations about being in a relationship with each other, but like, come on now. Because if I read that for like every other sentence, and then y'all get together by the end of the book, which happens in most romances, I'm gonna be like, mm, can I even really believe y'all being together if y'all just, if y'all keep saying it so much, it's gonna be hard for me to believe y'all when y'all do finally decide to get it together, if that makes sense. There is a side character in this book named Ursula, and I think she is a cousin to Lucy and her sisters. So there's three sisters and then Ursula. And Ursula gave me bad vibes from jump. She just had a lot of slick comments, and her way of moving about life and interacting with people, I just did not like. I didn't like it. She gave me a bad vibe from jump, and then as the book continued, that did not get any better for me. And the stuff that she was doing and saying, look, me and Ursula would have to fight, and then I'm not claiming her as my cousin anymore, and that's just facts. That's on period, because she was just not a good person to me. And then to find out that the second book in this series, called Kiss the Spell, is about Ursula, I'm not reading it. I'm not reading a book about Ursula, because I didn't want as much of her that we got in this book. So there's no way I'm going to read a full book about her. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, Deja Brew, the third one, I will consider that one, but that second book is just not gonna happen for me. It's just not gonna happen. And I'm really annoyed that we have three sisters and three books, but one sister is not gonna get a book. That just doesn't seem right to me. And we give Ursula a book. I don't think I agree with that decision. There was this side plot point with Ursula, um, and I didn't really like how that played out, especially since it was made to be such a big deal and it was carried throughout the book. Um, then just for it to be kind of solved in a way that it felt just like dropped, and we didn't really get like a full, because if you're going to carry an issue all throughout the book, I'm going to need more than just a drop of a resolution. I'm going to need some explanation. Okay. And I didn't feel like we really got that, even though like I didn't really want more of Ursula. There was just, it didn't end right for me, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I rated this book a 3 star. It was a fun, cute time. I would recommend this book for people to read. It's a fun paranormal romance. I think that, if you're just looking for something light, something fluffy to kind of like, whatever, this is a good book for that. And like I said, I do plan on reading Deja Brew, the third book. The second book, Kiss the Spell, will not be happening for me, but don't let me turn you off to it. I do suggest reading this one first, just so you can kind of make your opinion on whether or not you can stomach Ursula enough to read a whole book about her. But other than that, this was a fun time, and I am happy that I finally got around to reading this book. And that's all I gotta say. Okay, y'all, let us talk about Serpentine Valentine by Giana Darling. And I want to start off this by saying this is a heavy book. This is a book that should be read with care. Take care of yourself if you're thinking about picking this book up, or even if you need to skip this section. Some of the things may be triggering, maybe a little hard. I'm going to try to be as vague as possible, but I'm just letting you know up front that yeah, this is a difficult book. If you are wanting to read this book, for sure check trigger and content warnings before going into it and take care of yourself. So this book is a sapphic dark academia Medusa retelling, and it's about a woman who was wronged by her idols and refused to pay the price without getting revenge. Basically, we're following a main character. She has gone to college to study under this male professor who she has basically idolized, and along the way has built a close relationship with the, I think, like dean or something like that, the university president. Yeah. And unfortunately, one night she is essayed by said professor, and the university president helps cover this up. And our main character decides to take revenge by basically hooking up with the president's daughter. Okay. So I thought that, I think that I found this book at the right time. I was kind of just a little down, a little angry, and this really helped me get through that. And I feel like if I had tried to read it at any other moment, then I wouldn't have been able to get through it. But because I was already like kind of in the heavy feels myself, I was able to, I don't want to say relate because that's not what I want to say, but it helped me to get through this book. And I was glad that I found it when I did, if that makes sense. It feels like everything in this book was handled with care and not overly grotesque and just graphic for the sake of graphic or looking for shock value or anything. Like Giana Darling really took her time, and like you can tell that she tried to make this hard thing as, I don't know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, it was just really done with care, and I enjoyed being seeing how the other side characters were called out for their hypocrisy in the situation, because SA has been a problem on this campus, and even the women as well as the men on this campus was basically blaming the victims. But then when it became someone that they knew, they changed their story really quickly. And I like that Giana Darling called out the hypocrisy of that, because this translates to many different situations. Like, it's hard for people to sympathize or empathize until they know somebody in that same situation, and we just shouldn't be like that as people. So I was happy to see that she called that out for sure. And it was also talking about how women can be misogynistic as well and male-centered, and like stick up for other women. Like, why are you as a woman side with a man over a woman? Like, I really thought that the writing in this book was haunting and beautiful and poetic, and these characters were studying writing and poetry and things like that, so it just kind of added that extra layer to it. And Giana Darling Giana Darling's writing mirrored that, I think, perfectly. Like, it was just, yeah, like my heart was breaking, but I'm also like, damn, this is some beautiful ass writing at the same time. I feel like I experienced every emotion on the spectrum while I was reading this book. Like I said, I was already angry and sad before I went into it, and just to amplify those feelings, and then also have like, you know, there were some happy moments and some moments that I was laughing at the same time. Like, it gave all the feelings, and I was happy about that, because even though this was a really heartbreaking story, you know there's some light into it, and I'm like, yes, we needed that. We need that for sure. I rated this book a 4 star because, like I said, I thought it was really beautiful. I thought that, you know, the story was hard to get through, but I feel like we need to sometimes read difficult things and, you know, things that make us uncomfortable, just to like check our humanity. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like this happens to people in real life, and it's hard to, for some people, to be empathetic or sympathetic in situations where you just like, it doesn't even seem like a real thing to you. And so, yeah, I will not actively be seeking out more stories like this. But like I said, every now and then I think, you know, it's just a good humanity check. And I, you know, want to be able to sit with hard stories and experiences unlike my own, just to be able to be empathetic to other people, you know? So that is Serpentine Valentine. I'm really glad that I read it. Will never reread this book, probably, just to being completely honest, but a good one for sure that I'm glad I took a chance on. So I am ready to talk to y'all about An Education in Malice by S.T. Gibson. We're following Laura, who is thrust into an intense academic rivalry with the beautiful and enigmatic Carmilla. Together they are drawn into the confidence of their demanding poetry professor, De La Fontaine, who holds her own dark obsession with Carmilla. But as their rivalry blooms into something more delicious, Laura must confront her own strange hungers. Tangled in a sinister game of politics, bloodthirsty professors, and magic, Laura and Carmilla must decide how much they're willing to sacrifice in their ruthless pursuit of knowledge. All right, so the first thing that I found shocking about this is that Laura is from Mississippi, and I'm like, girl, what? We don't get a lot of main characters from Mississippi, especially in like a fantasy situation. If you don't know, if you can't tell by the way I sound, I am from Mississippi as well. I no longer live there, but you know, that's where I grew up. So it was very interesting to see just, you know, how Laura thought and how she moved, and, you know, my own experience growing up in Mississippi. I do like the vibes of this school. I like seeing the rivalry happen. I like the dark kind of gothic vibes that it had going on, and that it was a women's college. I just, you know, I was here for all the vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I liked it. I felt really bad for Carmilla throughout the entirety of this because she knew that she was being used by De La Fontaine. She knew she was being used. She knew she was taken advantage of, but she kind of feels like this is what she has to deal with. She doesn't, you know, have anybody else or anything else to kind of fall back on. She was a very lonely person, and if this was how she was going to get attention from somebody that she really admired to like an idol standpoint almost, she felt like this was what, you know, she had to deal with to get that closeness, to be the favorite. And I just thought that that was very sad and, you know, just heartbreaking. I really liked Laura's journey for this, and I was excited for her at the beginning of the book. I don't know if excited was the word I would use by the end, but I was just excited for her to be able to explore who she is, who she wants to be, what she wants to do, you know, what life is going to look like for her outside of who she was supposed to be when she was in Mississippi. And I 100% relate to that story. I just feel like, you know, sometimes you just have to get completely away to a place where like nobody knows you in order to figure out who you want to be and what's important to you and how you want your life to look. So I was grateful that she was able to find friends who helped her through this and, you know, kind of showed her that, you know, there is, you can be who you are and have people accept you and love you for that. So I thought that was very great. De La Fontaine pissed me off the entire time. Like, I could not stand her. I had beef for her the entire time because I just wanted her to leave Laura and Carmilla alone. Like, you're a grown person in the situation, and you knew that you needed to leave those girls alone, and what you were doing to them was not right, and especially Carmilla and whatever her fascination is with Carmilla, and then Laura. Like, girl, you sick in the head, and really, I just really want to fight you because you ruined these girls' lives. And like, I'm not saying that they ended in this horrible bad situation, but they could have had a very different turnout to their lives if they had A, never met you, or B, if you hadn't done what you did, you know. And so yeah, no, didn't like her. She can get these hands. And I was confused as to why it took De La Fontaine so long to do anything about the ISIS situation. Like, girl, you caused the situation. You are the literal cause of the situation. And not only that, all of the snowball effects of the situation. And you ain't trying to do nothing about it. Like, I get that you're scared of her and you kind of have this relationship with her where you see her as his idol as well. Like, you're gonna have to do something because you created this problem. I don't care that you don't want to, you got to. And it was also like very telling and very adding another layer of annoyance to the situation, because the relationship between Iris and De La Fontaine and how she felt in the situation, she literally went and did the same thing to Carmilla. And I'm like, why would you do that? You know exactly how this feels and how small you feel and how, you know, you are pulled in and feel like, you know, you're the shining star and you're loved so much, but then pushed away 10 seconds later and felt like, you know, and left to feel like you're nothing. And Iris or Isis, one of them two did that to you, and now you're doing this to Carmilla. Like, you're wrong for it because you know exactly how this feels, and not only that, you're doing this to basically a child. Absolutely not. And I do like how this kind of ended in an open-ended way, and there wasn't just like this neat cleanup type of situation to the ending. And I think that was done on purpose because this is like a new beginning. My stomach growled. Y'all hear that? This is like a new beginning for the girls. They're, you know, they have their whole lives ahead of them. And so, I mean, I guess that was, you know, the vibe we were supposed to be getting from the ending. And I always enjoy S.T. Gibson's writing. I think that she has a very beautiful way of writing. And anything that I pick up by her, like, you know, it's S.T. Gibson, and you know you're gonna get some good writing. Even if you don't like the story, you're gonna get some good writing. And so, yeah, I rated this a 3.5 star. I had a good time with it. I just don't think that it's going to be something that I just, you know, it's going to really stick with me over a long period of time. But I definitely recommend it, and I had a good time while reading it. And, you know, I'm just happy to find some S.T. Gibson that really works for me. I know I have the unpopular opinion when it comes to S.T. Gibson's books because I DNF The Diary of Blood. Like I said, I thought the writing was just beautiful, and I wouldn't have read as much as I did if I didn't love the writing. Like, I loved the writing. I just did not and could not connect with the story. I read Evocation. I had a good time with that, and now I have another good time with An Education in Malice. And, you know, I will be looking at her newer releases. I know she has Savage Blooms out right now, but I'm just not that much of a dark romance person. But I will be dipping and dabbing into S.T. Gibson when she has something that sounds interesting to me. So I'm happy about this. Let's move on to the next book. Okay, let's talk about Murder Your Employer by Rupert Holmes. And unfortunately, friends, this is going to be a DNF for me. I ended up DNFing this about 20% into this book. So let's talk about what it's about first and then why I ended up DNFing it. So, this is a kind of mystery thriller that's also a little on the humorous side. So, it's described as a diabolical thriller with a killer concept. The McMaster's Conservatory for the Applied Arts, which is a fantasy academy laid out like a combination of Hogwarts, Downton Abbey, and a White Lotus style resort, which is dedicated to the art of murder, where students study how best to delete their most deserving victim, which just in this case happens to be their employer. And I thought this was going to be funny. It was going to, be a little, of course, dark, but like, a good tiptoe into the mystery thriller area, because that if I'm going to read a mystery thriller, it's going to be on the humorous side like this. And I was expecting something similar to Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, how it's a little on the funny side, and I'll, have something a little different for it. So I was thinking, why not an academy setting? I love that in every other instance. So this just kind of made sense to me. But here's the thing, this almost felt like a textbook. I do not have the book anymore because I unhauled it, but the text was so small on the page. I think I mentioned it in whatever wrap up month I read it in. My October wrap up. But yeah, the text was so small, and while I don't think it was my humor. I think the author thought that it was funny, but I wasn't laughing. I wasn't kicking. I wasn't even like, you know, it wasn't happening. And I just found myself not really caring about what was going on, about our main character. It just, and stuff was happening. Let me tell you, we had plotting, and I just could not get into it for anything. So at the 20% mark, I decided to set it down because, like I said, it was so many words on the page, so many pages. I just did not want to waste time and effort on this book. I gave it a shot. It was something different for me. It didn't work out. It happens sometimes, and we just move on. So, in the rules of the Black Cover Challenge, there are no DNFs allowed. So, I will be finding another book to take the place of this one. So, I will have a total of 4 books read for this video. And I have that, and you will see me looking just like this in a few seconds, and we're going to talk about what I chose to replace Murder Your Employer. Be right back. Okay, so the book I chose is The Scorpion Queen by Mina. This is a YA fantasy book. And in this, we are deep within the imperial palace in Timbuktu. And we have Ami, who has suffered a devastating loss. She is the daughter of a prosperous salt merchant, but she finds her life cruelly overturned in a matter of months. At 16, she is disinherited, framed for a scandalous crime, and forced to serve Princess Mariama of Mali. Mariama's father, the emperor, has created a series of impossible trials for his daughter's suitors. When they fail, he publicly boils them alive, littering Mariama's path to marriage with 99 corpses. At first, Ami's life at court is drudgery. The chores are difficult, the servants despise her, and Princess Mariama is prone to mood swings. But the more she learns about the princess's circumstances, the closer the two girls become. Ami and her intended cater plan to escape Timbuktu and make a new life far away from the shadow of death that has fallen upon the emperor's court. but Ami finds herself increasingly drawn to the princess in ways she doesn't understand. When a mysterious discovery forces her hand, she must choose between fleeing with the boy she loves and helping the princess to end the trials forever. Ami will need to draw on all her strength and courage to make the perilous journey through the desert, to seek the aid of an exiled god, in a final desperate attempt to take charge of her own destiny. I think this is a standalone. I haven't seen or heard anything telling me otherwise, but the ending of this, I know it's weird for me to start at the ending, but it's what's on my brain right now, so I got to get it out. The ending of this felt very open and very much like, oh, there could be a sequel to this, and maybe there was a point. Like, it can stand as a standalone, but the author left it open so there could be more to the story if necessary. And I just don't know how I feel about that. The way I have been searching high and low, scraping to find fantasy standalones, and I thought that this would be one, especially by a Black author that I could recommend. And, mm, I'm tired of series. I'm getting frustrated. Like, I love a series, don't get me wrong, but sometimes you just want to get in and get out one book. And that feels almost impossible now, especially in the genres that I mainly read, which are fantasy and romance. Okay, so yeah, this also is like sapphic adjacent. And I say that because I don't think the main characters realized that this is what was happening to them, you know? So that's why I'm gonna put it that way. But okay, let's get past that and get into this, because I got some things to say. I want to fight everybody in this book. I cannot stand anybody, because let me tell you, Ami was done so wrong. She did not deserve anything that happened to her. So it mentioned in the synopsis there was this scandal, right? And the scandal actually involved Ami's older sister. And Ami's older sister blamed something unimaginable at this time period on Ami, when really she was the one who did it. And so that causes Ami to get disinherited. She goes from living this life of, quiet luxury, I would say, to being a servant. Her life is ruined. Ami's older sister ruined her life to protect herself. And what? No, because I would have to find her and we would have to fight. Like, no, you're not gonna ruin my life and then walk away. And then Ami has to like serve her sister at events. Hell no. No, we're fighting. And then of course the author tries to give Ami's sister this redemption arc. Don't want it. Get out of my face. Absolutely not. No, you do not get to come back from this, because you didn't have to do it in the first place. You should have just owned up to your own actions. And then it frustrated me that Ami's parents did not believe her when she told her that it was not her. What do you mean? They were so quick to disinherit Ami because the older sister is the favorite daughter. Uh, Everybody can get got. I'm fighting everybody. I couldn't stand it. Absolutely not. I'm pissed off. I want to fight everybody. No. But I think this story is very interesting. I do feel like there was some lulls in places where we're just kind of meandering, and it's already a short book. So if I feel like it's meandering and lulling in places, I'm like, dang, why? I don't even think this is 300 pages. So it to me, it should be tight enough to where we don't have those issues. But yeah, we did have a couple of issues with that. And I found myself struggling to pay attention at some points and was just kind of zoning out just a little bit and had to like lock back in. I ended up not reading this physically. I tried to uh immersive read this because I knew that I was going to need some help with the pronunciation of some things, but then I just put the physical book down and just went straight audio. And yeah, I just noticed the people in the camels and the sunset in the cover. um yeah, and then The twist I was not expecting though. Mina got me with this twist. I was like, I was shocked. I was flabbergasted. I was not expecting this twist that we got here. And I enjoyed that. And that definitely pulled me back into the story. But then it just kind of kept circling and circling and, the uncertainty of it all. And I just kind of was out of it again. I rated this a 3 star. I do think it's good. I think that a younger audience would enjoy this, maybe even some adults, depending on the type of YA fantasy that you do like. I will be recommending this book. I had a decent time. It's not going to be a favorite, probably not really memorable for me, but I liked it. I'm happy I picked it up and read it, and I think others should give it a shot as well. So, friends, we have finished the books. Let us see where black is going to stack up against our other colors. As you can see, we have black in the third place spot, even though it tied with the average rating of green. I put green in second place because there was actually a 5-star that came from the green cover color challenge. And in the black, we did not have a 5-star, unfortunately. But yeah, did I expect blue to win this? No. If I had to place a bet, and I think I actually talked about it in the first one, I thought green was going to win because green is my favorite color. And then I thought black would be second, and blue would be third, and pink would be fourth. But, here we are. And I am just excited that we got to go on this little journey together and find out some information that's not exactly useful, but we had fun finding it out. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, anything that you do to support me and my channel. Friend, I greatly appreciate it. I hope you have the best day that you possibly can. Remember to take care of yourself, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.